Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I am here today with my engineer, Jacob. How are you doing today, buddy?
Good evening. This is Jacob. As he just said, I'm doing all right.
Well, excellent. We kind of missed you yesterday, or rather, we missed you last week. But lucky for us, Mademoiselle Summer Hyman was here with us. So I want to tell her thank you for sitting in for you yesterday. But we're going to have a great show today. Look. Everything that we've been talking about lately is about Ferguson, and it's about the police attacking minorities, etc., etc., etc. again. Well, this time, it sort of hit close to home. I tell you what. Today I'll start the show on a more personal note. You see, while blogging last night at Starbucks, my sister sent me a text, and that text said, it was a rather disturbing text. You see, my nephew just received his driver's license. I remember when I got my driver's license. It was one of the happiest days of my life. It brought me a great, degree of independence. To some extent, it gave my little sister some independence as well, as I became her chauffeur at many times. It is ironic that my sister's son, my nephew, gets his license. It is bittersweet. It was a bittersweet occurrence. My nephew is extremely smart. He understands what is going on. Not only does he understand, he knows he must be more careful than most of his friends. Police do not know my nephew as I know him. For them, he is just a threat. I see my engineers in there I think I can hear them through the mic, in fact.
Yeah, sorry about that. Just working on some issues.
Yeah, but I think you guys are going on air, aren't you?
Probably. That's a bad job by me. But,
yeah.
I got it fixed.
Okay, good. Anyhow, it is actually that time. It is that time where we do, what? It is going to be the blog of the week. And it is coming up in 1 second.
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, folks, like I said earlier on, we've been talking a whole lot about Ferguson and whether these things affect the average person, kids, etc., etc., etc. My sister sent a text and she said, "Hey, hermano, I want you to go ahead and read this over. I'm going to be submitting this stuff to the LA Times." And when she said that, I said, okay, send it out. So what I want to do is I want to read you the little excerpt that she sent to the Los Angeles Times. And it says as follows. My 16-year-old son recently became a licensed driver. And what should have been a huge, momentous developmental milestone quickly took on a somber tone when he asked, "Mom, how do I remain safe if I ever get pulled over by a police officer?" This question caught me off guard, but I quickly regained my footing, and we formulated a very concrete plan. I reminded my son to always be polite, and we even rehearsed mundane actions such as first as where he should keep his driver's license, and I reminded him to always ask permission first as he's reaching for his driver's license. I also told him to be sure to tell the officer exactly what he is doing at each stage. My son is 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighs 135 pounds, is a straight A student, a classical pianist, and plays competitive sports, competitive soccer. The irony in all of this is that as a pediatrician, a significant portion of my time is spent advocating on behalf of my children and talking with families about ways of keeping their children safe. I also happen to be an African American woman with an African American son. When my son was very young and people would fawn over him and repeatedly comment on how cute he was, I was keenly aware that one day his cuteness would fade and he would be perceived as a threat, as threatening by many, in spite of his very clean-cut look. The day has come. In light of the tragic events surrounding Mike Brown, Tamir Rice, and Eric Garner, it is so clear that this day has come. As the race dialogue in our country has been pried wide open, it's imperative that we enter this dialogue with a keen understanding of some of the very real underlying issues, including the role that implicit bias plays in how those from a more privileged background view persons of color. Many have argued that communities of colors have brought this upon themselves. If they would only behave a bit differently, or speak differently, or dress differently, then they wouldn't have to have any problems. Come on, just act differently, folks. Charles Barkley, a person of color, irresponsibly stated that racial profiling on black communities was justified because there are lots of crooks in our communities. If only it were that simple. There were times when I too, for brief moments, believed that attaining a certain educational and socioeconomic level and communicating a certain way would be protective. We've known dialogue, or we've seen time and time again, that the politics of respectability is merely a myth. If this dialogue is to move forward in an earnest and productive manner, then we must immediately cease from invoking this idea of otherness and truly join forces to decry blatant injustices. My role as a pediatrician is to ensure that kids are able to thrive and develop physically, mentally, and emotionally. As a mother, I am deeply concerned that in America, my son continues to be in a subgroup that is very high risk. That's the op-ed by Linda Willies-Jacobo, my sister. And then I blogged that and I wrote the following. Hermano, just sent you a rough draft of an op-ed piece that I plan on sending to the LA Times. That is the text I received from my little sister a few minutes ago. I read the message and teared up, mostly because I knew immediately then that my young, always happy, well-adjusted nephew felt the reality of his potential police-dictated mortality. The psychological effect of the reality minorities and specifically black men must endure with law enforcement and our justice system is measurable and real. I called my sister immediately because I knew the pain and I fear she was going through to pen that op-ed. I know the pain she felt having her young son approach her with his undeserved fears. I asked her to allow me to post her story as it was representative of millions. My sister is very private. I told her that story is not some abstraction. It is real and needed to be held or help, or it was needed to help give the national discourse context. I remember having similar talks with my daughter. You know, we always told my daughter, even before she was of age to drive, that when out with her friends who were mostly white, that her behavior had to be different. We told her life was not fair, and the reality was that the things her white friends could get away with, she likely would not in most cases. There was no point in testing the limits. She saw those realities in many instances since. She got through her high school and college years heeding that advice for the most part, and it served her well. Our reality simply is not the same. My nephew goes to a private school, plays soccer, and excels academically. My sister is a doctor and a professor. My sister devotes much time to give back by working in inner city neighborhoods, clinics, and hospitals, even as she holds down her duty as assistant dean at the university and its hospital. Her husband is a project manager and an engineer. They have followed all the rules to excel in America. Should that not be enough? Our family, like many American families, is the real America. Our family is integrated with just about all races, religions, ethnicities, and everything in between. That many of us live this fear is against the expectations of what America is attempting to become, and many illogically fear. Making a better America for the next generation is why I continue to be an activist. Activism requires allies. My sister's family is representative of millions of families in this country that must still endure a cancer white America is responsible for solving. So far, a large percentage have chosen to put blinders on or conflate truly bad actors to justify police killings. If we are to become the America many already claim we are, it is time for all those with implicit unearned privilege to step to the plate. Absent this, our demise as a nation will be at hand sooner than necessary. Folks, this is KPFT. The telephone number for call-ins, please give us a call. Let me know what you think. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. We want you to give us a call. We want you to talk to us. We want to hear your case, your opinions. What do you feel? Do you agree? I want to hear from you. I don't care if you're liberal, conservative, or otherwise. Give me a call. I want to hear your point of view. Line number 1. Terry, talk to me, my brother.
Hola.
¿Cómo estás, amigo?
Muy bien. Listen, my friend.
Yes, sir.
You know where my kids were raised.
Yes, I do. Your kids were raised in the same place my kid was raised.
Exactly. And
yes,
so,
sir.
You know, my 2 boys got the talk that you just talked about.
Yes.
We confronted the same issue your sister now faces.
Right.
It's the same reality. It's perpetual reality, and it will never change.
Well, I am a bit more optimistic than never change. I want it to change. The reason I'm an activist is because I'm an optimist, okay? As an optimist, I want things to change, Terry. And I'm not going to sit down here. I mean, I know where you're coming from. You know, we think the same. But my thing is I am appealing to people's humanity and not their fears. And for those who are going to continue to be fearful, tough, we'll continue. But continue, my friend. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, no. The problem is, and while I absolutely applaud your efforts, your voice is analogous to a drop of water in an ocean of hate.
Yes, that I agree with.
And that's the problem. So
right.
Here's the thing. The best analysis of this problem, I believe, is as follows. I heard this said, and I'll pass it on to you. There was a gentleman who had a discussion about the matters of race with a white friend, and the white friend told him, you know why white America is so afraid of black people? It's because if they were you, they would have burned this country down by now, and they're fearful that today will be the day that you realize that and start to act the same.
But you know what is interesting? You were not worried about statements like that. The thing about it is, that's the interesting thing. I have yet to meet a person, black, Hispanic, Latino, whatever, that ever had that kind of a thought. Everyone that I know in our domain, if you will, the thought is never to be better than somebody else. The thought is never to just take things or go crazy. The thought is always like, I just want my fair share, nothing more. I'm not asking for nothing else. I want the cops to respect my kids. I want the cops to respect my family. I want the opportunity to get an education. And you know what? If folks got a chance to listen to most people like we do, they would know that that's all folks want. Folks, I mean, you don't have folks. We are in 2014. I don't ever hear people looking for revenge. I hear people wanting to take what's theirs. There's a difference.
Yeah, all you want is the cops to do their job. Well, they're not interested in doing their job. They're interested in going beyond. And the motto on the side of every police car I've ever seen is to protect and serve.
Yes.
The question that I have is, to whom are they protecting and who are they serving? Because it's surely not the public, and it's surely not the average citizen. And they're apparently only concerned with protecting themselves. And so I ask the same question I ask every week is, if you have a gun, a radio, a baton, and armor, why are you so afraid? And if you're that afraid, doesn't that disqualify you as being a cop?
Yes, it does. It does. You know, what is interesting, and I don't want to completely get off my subject here, but I want to tell folks about a video that I made. I think I have it at politicsdoneright.com and at egbertowillies.com. And I was watching, I think it was CNN, and they were talking. CNN had a little piece on. Actually, I wasn't watching CNN. There was one of my readers sent me a direct message, you know, and it was kind of interesting because it was a link that he sent me, and what he sent me was a link to a thing on CNN. And let me stop real quickly because I'm at 15 minutes. Folks, you're listening to KPFT 90.1 in Houston, Texas, 90.1 FM in Houston, Texas. You can give us a call at 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. We have 5 open lines, so give me a call and join the conversation. I really want to hear from you. But anyhow, Terry, what happened then was that the person sent an email, and he said, take a look at this. And, you know, I mean, I placed the blog that I just read on Coffee Party website, and in no time, it jumped up to, it had a viewership of over 100,000 views, and on my site itself, over 14,000. So it's something that really piqued the interest of quite a lot of people. Now, what's interesting about that is it was interesting that the person sent the view, because what he sent was the cops going to a house where a 911 call came in that the husband or boyfriend had a knife. He had beat up his kid, was beating on his wife. They came into the house. He confronted them, and I have this video at my site. He confronted them, or the cops confronted him. He jumped through the window, took off running. They ran after him. They didn't run after him the way they ran after Michael Brown. They didn't run after him with guns pulled. They ran after him, and they tased him. After they tased him, he got away from it's almost like the guy was on meth or something, because he got away. And do you think those guys took out their weapons and fired their weapons? They didn't take out their weapons and fired their weapons. They allowed it to get dark, and then they called in state reinforcements, and they did all of this to capture this one guy. And why did this person send this to me? Because he wanted to show me. He said, Egberto, you need to see this. And when I saw that, I'm like, that is policing, first of all. Okay, I wasn't upset that guy lived. I was not upset that guy lived at all. The police did their job. That was perfect policing. They de-escalated where they could, even though this guy was completely and entirely out of control. But they policed the matter. What I did then is I said, I want to show America something. So I went ahead and I got the video of Eric Garner. I went and got the video of Tamil, I don't remember his name, Jones, Tamir Jones, I believe. I got the video of Tamir Rice.
Yeah, Tamir Rice.
Tamir Rice, yeah. And I also got the video of this camera. What is his name? The guy at the Walmart that got shot. Something the third. Crawford the third. John Crawford the third. And I string those 5 videos together, Terry. And what you saw is in clear view how police address different groups in the country. Because it was treating guys that were not acting aggressively like animals and treating the one guy that acted aggressively as a human being. And what was the only difference between the 4 guys and that one guy?
Yeah, I can't imagine what it was.
Can you imagine what that was, Terry?
I'm speechless.
But the reason I strung the videos together was important because I wanted to show, we had videos of all of these things. And people can say, well, that's random. And yes, I could say it's random, but it's representative. You and I know that it's representative. And the truth is, as I said in the blog, most Americans themselves know that it's representative. But in order to keep one's conscience clean, there are many people who choose to simply put themselves in blinders. My question to the rest of America is as follows. Why? Why would you want to do that? I mean, why do you allow preconceived misconceptions to guide your thoughts, to guide your actions, to guide what you do? Why would you make preconceived misconceptions allow you to vote the way you do during a grand jury? Why? It's that simple. 713-526-5738. Can any American call and tell me why? It is I think it's a worthwhile question. And, you know, I know there are many people listening here right now who are saying, you really don't get it, and I would like to hear your point of view. I would love to hear your point of view. If you think that we just don't get it, if we think most of what we've seen out there with the cops over the last few weeks, over the last few months, are justified. Do you think any of that was justified? Call me if you think it's justified. Call me if you don't think it's justified. 713-526-5738. Terry's the lone person on the line tonight. Do we have any other callers willing to call in? 713-526-5738. Jacob, give me your point of view.
I know this is obviously, for every reason, a very sensitive topic. So I'm actually...
No, wait. Let's stop for a minute. This is politics done right. No topic on politics done right is sensitive. What I always ask people to do on politics done right is to be honest. This isn't the thing where you have to filter yourself on politics done right, folks, because I respect your opinion. No matter what your opinion is, I want to hear it. That is what we have to do with people. We have to ask people to feel free to give their emotions, to feel free to tell what they want to tell, because that's the only way we're going to change in this country. If you feel that you can call somebody like myself and tell me what's on your mind, and then we can talk about it whether I agree with you or not. Let me have that other line, Jacob. Yes. Come on in. Yes, who am I speaking to?
FJ.
FJ, talk to me, my brother. Talk to me.
I would like to put this out.
Yes.
If you steal from a man, you can go back to him and to return his goods, and he may forgive you. If you hit a man, you can go to him and ask for a apology. He can also forgive you.
Right.
But if you kill a man, you can never go back to that man and ask for
forgiveness. Right.
That's all I want to say.
Well, look, thank you very much, FJ. That is a true fact. So I would hope that what you're trying to say is that we should not kill because we need to get forgiveness. I hope there's something to that effect in there. But anyhow, thank you for calling in, FJ. Wayne.
Yeah. Hey, you was asking the question about why do people hold preconceived ideas about other groups of people, and it's because they feel like it's a tribal thing, you know. If you're of a tribe that you feel like has the advantage and the power, and then you build a social construct that will benefit you, such as racism, for example.
Right.
You know? So, it's only one human race, and, it's just us, humans.
Right.
But social construct can divide along religion, along racial lines, and what we're experiencing here in the United States is the racial thing. And so you have a great number of people out there who feel like, okay, if I side, we just say the Republican Party, which is a corporatist party,
Right.
okay, they're going to take care of me because they're on the right side of the racial line.
Right.
See? So, it's for selfish reasons why people hold these preconceived ideas.
Let me ask you something, Jason. Jason, let me ask you something, because you raise a point that I want to challenge a bit here. Let's say you brought in the Republican Party and you say tribal or whatever. What happens? How do we get around, or how are we ever able to show the folks in Appalachia, let's say, and when I talk about Appalachia, I'm talking about lower class, poor white people. How do we join those folks together with, let's say, the folks that live in the inner city, and show them that they have more in common together, and they're having those two groups fighting together for a particular solution is a lot more effective than allowing the corporatists to divide them by race? How do we do that?
Well, during the Barron days, we had that, right after Reconstruction.
Right.
You have poor whites and blacks who work together,
Right.
And, it just takes leadership. But I think in this time and age,
Right.
It's going to take some really special leadership, And not only that, I just think, you never know what event might come up that might galvanize all kinds of people. Because
Right.
I really do believe that there are a lot of poor white people, who may have stereotypical ideas about other groups of people. But, the things that they talk about on the kitchen table involves money and bills and
Right.
everyday things. And they see that, the system that we currently dealing with right now is not serving them well.
Right.
Even though they might come to realize, hey, we've been voting against our own
interest.
Self benefit. So the thing is, I think we may have to wait till we get a leader who is willing to go against the oligarchy, the corporatists, the capitalists,
Right.
or some kind of event that happens like what's been going on with our judicial system.
Well, Wayne, I want to
things like that might galvanize people across the board.
I am interrupting you for one specific reason, Wayne. You just said we have to wait for leadership. I actually, in listening to you and in listening to other people that call this show, I think we are full of leadership, but people just have to lead. I listen to the way you, to the statements that you make, how you make the connection between the corporatists and folks not really supporting the bread and butter values for those who are actually electing them. And it tells me immediately that the mere fact that you understand that folks like yourself can already begin the lead-in process. One of the reasons I personally do the things that I do is the attempt to tell folks that all of us that have this knowledge should be self-empowered to go out there and use it. So I want to say that in listening
let me
go
say
ahead.
This.
Yes,
let
sir.
me say this. I think, right now we don't have control of our media.
Right.
There was a time when our media felt more independent and they asked pointed questions to powerful people. They're not doing that anymore.
Exactly.
So, thank goodness we have a social network and radio stations
Right.
like you're on right now.
Exactly.
That allows these points to be made. But the problem is, look at, I hate to bring this up because people say, oh, that's such a horrible thing to say. But if you look at, Germany before, it became a one-party state, there are many similarities, that we have today in the United States.
Right.
And we have a quiet majority of people who are decent people. They're
Right.
decent people, but they kind of bullied in or
Exactly.
tribalized in these groups that they feel like, hey, we'll benefit if we vote this way, even though they know darn good and well that the party that they're voting for, and I'm speaking about the Republican Party, and I know the Democratic Party is not, You know,
Not-
they have issues too.
Exactly.
You know, they side with oligarchy policies too.
Right.
But the Republican Party, they will not be altered in their servitude to the oligarchy. And these people who vote for them feel like, you know, if I do the right things, if do these certain things, I'm going to be taken care of, regardless what happens to other people.
Now, Wayne,
and those are people we need to shake.
Thank you, Wayne. It's important. What you just said there is important, and I hope that you mentioned social media, which it seems to me like if you mention it, you're probably on it, which means you yourself are a part of this new media. You're listening to KPFT, which tells me that you are interested in listening to the type of information not necessarily filtered by the corporatocracy. And by the way, since Wayne already did that, I always like to give a little plug for our station here. This is a community station, KPFT. Please always, when you have a little change in your pocket, go to kpft.org and, drop a little here, because all of us here work for free, or most of us here work for free. We just want to do something good for the community and make sure that we have value, and not only have value, but present value to you to make a better America. Jason, continue Wayne, continue before we jump to Jason.
Well, it's a beautiful thing there, what you just said, because, if people see that, a lot of these, I give a really good example. There were like a 300,000 people march in New York City regarding climate change.
Yes.
It was not reported on any of the major networks.
It drives me.
Talked about here on this radio station.
Yes. It drives me crazy, Wayne, because we tried to the blogosphere really got lit up on it, but it wasn't enough. Even some of the blogs didn't carry enough of what was going on, but now a lot of us are into what's known as the live streaming and the YouTube streaming and so forth, that I think is going to make a lot of it better. In fact, later on, I hope that sometime in the near future, we will be able to do all of that from here now. Look, Wayne, it was a pleasure speaking to you. Please remember that you are a leader as well. The mere fact you know this stuff, so get out there and lead, my brother, all right?
All right, it's a beautiful thing, man. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. Jason.
Good evening.
Good evening, my dear friend. Talk to me.
Well, Wayne made one point about a majority of people being inherently decent. And,
yes.
There's about 1 million police officers in this country, and most of them aren't going around basically murdering people.
You're correct.
But some are. And I think, sometimes we make it really easy when we say, it's these racist people on the police forces that are the problem. We need to root out this racism, and then when we do that, the problems will be solved. But
I don't know if that's completely true, but I want to hear what you're saying. I want you to tell me a little bit more.
Yeah, I tend to think that that one of the biggest problems is that the people that may not themselves be racist. We may close ranks around people with privilege to protect them when they did something wrong.
Right.
So this silent majority, it's not enough to not yourself be racist. You actually have to oppose when other people are doing these things. And it's not just in the police that this happens.
Right.
Tendency to close ranks, and we're seeing it in the media all the time when celebrities are getting away with different crimes for decades.
Right.
It's so really a big problem is that if my cousin may have some problem, or someone in my profession may have some problem, and then we're letting that slide and not opposing the privilege in our own communities. So I think this majority has to step up just as much as we need to fight this,
Jason,
yeah.
I don't know where my callers are coming in from, man. Why you guys need to be the representatives of America, my friend, because it is so prescient what you're saying. Okay, in other words, you hit it on the money. When we talk about cops, we know that it's not all cops that are bad. Yes, we know that, but they are a lot bad because they, as you just mentioned there, which is important, it's a silent wall of blue. And if you're a part of that silent wall of blue, might as well be just as all the other bad cops, because you're allowing it to fester. And that goes not only in the cop domain, it goes into all other domains where this is a reality, where that type of racism is a reality, where any of that. So you hit it on the money. How do we change it?
Well, that's the real question, but I don't really, it helps to have community outlets like this where we can hold each other accountable. I think one thing is stop pretending that the problem is these racists, that if we just find them and make them stop, then things will be okay. Because then that creates this false conflict, like it's us versus the police.
Right.
When really that should not be the conflict at all. But I don't know. It's a hard question, and maybe you have some more constructive solutions. But.
Well, I mean, I tell you what, this is something that we all will be working on together. Folks, please, I'm at the hour. So, folks, please remember, this is KPFT 90.1 FM. Telephone number 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. We have 3 lines open, so please feel free to give us a call. I'd like to hear your point of view. Please continue, Colombia. Or is it Colombia, or you wanted to say soy de Colombia?
My name is Wilson, but I was born in South America, Colombia.
Oh, okay. Yo soy de Panamá.
Okay. Well, sir, the reason I'm calling is because I came to this country at a young age, 1986, and along the way, I have met very many people that are kind and loving in this country.
Right.
But there's the other face. There's the other face that we can't even speak about.
Right.
And it's the face of racism and hatred. And,
right.
I'm optimistic like you. I would like to look at the sky and tell God, thank you for making these people change and love everybody equal, like what we're promised when we come here, equal rights, the land of the free. All that is not true.
Well, Colombia, I mean, what was your name again?
My name is me llamo Wilson.
Herminado, let me tell you something, okay? It is true. You and folks, for those of you who were born in the States, and I want to say something for those of us who were born outside of the United States and then became citizens. We have a certain appreciation for what America. If you listen to the blog that I read earlier, I said, if we are to live up to what many already think America is, but what we want America to become, the reality is many of the folks outside of America coming in only know the portion of what they think America is because of the promotions of what America is, but has not yet become. When we get here, a lot of what we want to do, because we're here, is to make it what it is supposed to be. And many of us, that is the goal, because this great melting pot, this country that can that has the infrastructure to make the America that we want it to be is there. It's a matter of working towards it and having folks with a positive, I don't want to just say positive mentality, because it takes a hell of a lot more than that. But having folks that really are willing to work towards getting there is what really matters. And what I like about a lot of the callers that I get here is there are folks that are saying, yeah, we can make a difference. Continue, senor, and then I'm going to jump to Bill.
Yes, well, I just wanted to tell you that my experience has been good because I've learned a lot of things, and I'm Americanized, and I was involved in motocross, I'm involved in music, and I love everything about America.
Of course.
But I just don't like the way that there are some people that hate us and reject us. And to make it quick, you can have a white person assault you, and you call the police, and they don't do nothing to them. Your word means nothing. Kind of like when a girl gets raped, they don't, then they say they don't listen to her.
Right.
I've been before a judge. I've been trying to collect the bills from the harm that this person caused me, and they just threw me in the trash, man. To tell you the truth, and I'm a U.S. citizen.
Well, and those are the things that we, it's not going to change quickly, but those are the things that we are going to My brother Terry, my good friend Terry, he says, it's never going to change. I'm going to work with Terry, and we're going to make a change. I'm going to work with you, and we're going to make a change. I'm going to work with Jason and Wayne and everybody, and we're going to make a change. Thank you for calling me, my dear friend.
All right. God bless you. Thank you.
You have a great day, sir. Bill.
Yes.
Talk to me.
Hello. Talk to you, huh?
Yes, sir.
The main word that we're trying to figure out is consequences.
Yes, sir.
Because there are no consequences.
Okay.
And they don't enforce the consequences. Example, if those police officers stood around and watched this other police officer beat this person, if the consequences were that they were arrested by being with association with this other cop, and that they, one, could probably lose their license for life, two, they could wind up in prison for life and lose everything, then I think you would start to see a change. But you're also going to have to do some psychological profiling on some of these people.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, especially the veterans that are coming back.
Oh, let me tell you, Bill, I don't mean to cut you. Hold your thought, but I do want to say something about the veterans. I have been speaking to this for quite a while, and that is something that scares me the most. And I'm not talking about your average veteran here. I'm talking about that person, and I'm going to ask Jacob to speak to this. I'm going to ask you to hold on the line, and I'm going to ask Jacob to speak to this, and then bring you right back in. Jacob, and it goes this way, something that worries me or concerns me. We have a whole lot of people, and I know you've been in Iraq and other places as well, that come back after seeing a whole lot of carnage. They are very reactive based on what they've seen in Iraq, based on what they've seen in Afghanistan. Do you really think most of those folks can come back here and become effective police officers without having gone through some sort of a real rigorous mental adjustment?
Yes, and the reason why is that a lot of us will never be in combat.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us will never fire a weapon. Even though I was in a combat arms unit,
right?
When in the first Cav, I never fired my weapon.
Okay.
My tour, just from my perspective, was relatively quiet, relatively boring. So I came home whole. That's I can't say the same for, too many other people. But somebody who was working as an MP, military police, probably could slide into the role of law enforcement.
Now, what about that person that really saw the carnage, really had to react, really was attacked with IUDs, really got into firefights with people that eventually turned into that real ardent soldier? What do you think about that person?
I think you'd have to take it on a case-by-case basis. I know there was one of my favorite publications is called the Duffel Blog. It's sort of think of it like a news satire site for military affairs, an onion for the military.
Right.
One of the there was an article that they put out where some state had passed a law that requires veterans to notify their neighbors of their combat deployments, and it was just sort of a jab at this notion that we're all and there are people with actual serious problems, and I get that, but it sort of jabs at this notion that we're all on a hair trigger, ready to flip out and kill.
So one of the reasons I wanted you to say that is because I wanted to make sure that you make that point that yes, there are a few that saw hectic activity that may not make good police officers, but in fact, most people didn't and probably need to come out here and be a part. They have the structure to make them good officers, is what you're saying?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, great. Now, Bill, continue, my dear friend.
Okay, well, to answer his deal, that's the horse he never rode and the line he never crossed.
Yeah, what Bill's referring to is if you Google it real quick, you can see the shield of the 1st Cavalry Division, and it's sort of gold or yellow with the head of a horse,
right,
and like a black line crossing it diagonally. And that old joke was that what does the shield stand for? And it's for the color of their bellies, the line they never crossed, and the horse they never rode on. So.
Oh, okay. So you guys have something in common. Okay, Bill, come on. It looks like you really got to Jacob. All right, continue, my friend.
Okay, well, that's what we need to work on, and this needs to go from our congressman all the way down and through the line.
Right.
I agree. I was in Nam, I was in Panama, I was in Grenada. And some of the people that as he said, some of the people were support people, resistance.
Right.
But I was around a group that were crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was with Mac VSOG in Vietnam.
Okay. I don't know much about that, but I imagine it's bad.
It's an SOG group.
Okay.
Special ops.
Okay.
But, and some of these people coming back were totally crazy.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't want them around me. I wouldn't even want to eat dinner with them.
Yeah, okay, I hear you. Look,
but what, as he says, not everybody that goes to war
right
comes back with deals. The ones I'm saying is, why does that officer have to pump 6 shots into a person with a pistol?
Absolutely no reason. I think you're correct that we have to really do some better screening, but also I think the most important part is how you started the conversation, Bill, and that is consequences.
Right.
But in regards to consequences, we also have to take something into consideration that I think you didn't say that I must say, and that is, in a lot of ways, the police reflects the community, and in reflecting the community, it reflects also the biases of the community. And in reflecting the biases of the community, they just can't see the evil that police officer did against Garner. They just couldn't see the evil that police officer did against other people. They just
even
don't
though
see it.
he violated his own procedural rules, they couldn't see it.
Exactly.
And that's why there has to be consequences.
You're correct.
Like the DA that left out the evidence.
Right.
Bill, everybody knows the DAs, and the police force are connected.
And Bill, you're so right. You made a whole lot of good points. I have my line starting to fill up again, but I hope you keep listening. I hope you keep calling. And remember, we are here on a mission of good. So thank you very much for calling, Bill.
Vaya con Dios, my brother.
Así también, hermano. Anonymous.
Hello, Egberto.
Talk to me, Anonymous. I know you're not anonymous because once you open your mouth, I recognize your voice. But talk to me.
I know you know who I am. but you already had someone on that name like me, so I'm gonna stay anonymous tonight.
Okay,
How
Mr.
You been doing?
Okay, Mr. Anonymous. Talk to me.
All right, and tell your sister thank you for the lovely sentiment and the writings and the words that she tried to portray to America tonight.
I surely will tell her because, I'm so happy that her words were so well received. Like I said, over 100,000 at Coffee Party, over 14,000 on my site, and several other sites. My sister's words, it's at least getting out there. Thank you.
Okay. But what I want to say tonight is, and I agree with a whole lot of people, but me being a veteran.
Yes, sir.
And I've never seen combat, but I've been there where it was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not for sure that every veteran should come back and be able to go on the police force, and I'm just going to say that because there are some that did things over there in Iraq, Iran, and places and other places that they. I really don't think they should own guns. Not be allowed to.
You're right, Wayne. I think Jacob alluded to that. Jacob actually said that. He said, yeah, there are people that mostly didn't see combat, right, Jacob? And,
sure.
And then that some that you really wouldn't want there either.
If you're a finance clerk, you're probably not going to see much combat. If you are, it's a pretty bad day.
Right.
Yeah.
Continue, Anonymous. Man, it's so hard to call you anonymous.
And I also was assigned to the 1st Cavalry Unit, so I want Jacob to say that we're brothers there in that regard.
America's first team, thank you.
Okay, but I also had training and all those other things that you know about. We're not going to talk about that right now. But here's what I say. When certain people get hold to guns, and they think that I was listening to a show today, and they take this mentality of privilege.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Privilege, and when they take that mentality of privilege, and they're given some other things. Now, when you're a military man, you have to, you're up under a law that says there's certain things you can and can't do, and you will be sent to jail for it if you disobey them laws. But in America, and the grand jury, when a lawman kills someone, it's just like saying, okay, it's open day on whoever you wanted to kill. Because
Anonymous, hold on a second. Hold on a second, Anonymous. Gus, I noticed you just hung up. I really think you had something to say, so give me a call back. Continue, Anonymous.
Yeah, And it's just like to say that you had that right to do that. Even if you were wrong, you still had that right. Basically, you jump up on a man's back. This is a cowardly way of doing anything. Jump up on a man's back. There are 5 or 6 of you there, and you put him in a chokehold.
Right.
That's not policing.
No.
That's being a thug, or what they want to call some of us now being thugs. Well, there was no black man there, but the one black man that died.
Right. Right.
And he wasn't being a thug at that time.
Right. You know, I mean, like I said, you know, it's going to change. I wrote another blog, I think it was last week sometime, when I was speaking about this whole issue. And what I said is that America is going to, you know, yes, we have to, you know, like Bill said in the earlier message that he spoke about, he said we have to have accountability. And I agree with him wholeheartedly. But accountability is not only for the police officers. Accountability is also for the American citizen, the average American citizen who allowed those officers to walk. Because in as much as that that man, whatever his name was in Arkansas, where was it, in Missouri? I don't remember the name of the DA.
McCullough.
McCullough could have said whatever he wanted to say. Those citizens that are sitting down in that jury box, if they had the necessary humanity to look and watch somebody's head blown up after being pumped with bullets and think that is okay, if they had viewed Michael Brown as a human being, there's nothing McCullough could have done to keep them from bringing an indictment. An indictment isn't a result. An indictment is saying we want to bring this for the people to listen to. The same thing applies to Eric Garner. We have to look at America, the people. We have to look at America as citizens. When they went into that jury room, that grand jury room, they never looked at Eric Garner as a human being.
Right.
Because if they had seen Eric Garner as a human being, when those officers were holding him down, when one officer had his knees on his head, when that officer was sitting on him, when that guy was saying, I cannot breathe, it wouldn't have been the feeling that some animal couldn't breathe. It would have been the feeling that a human being couldn't breathe. And that those people in that box in the jury room would have said, wait a minute, how comes these officers who are themselves humans didn't react to somebody saying, I can't breathe, and someone who isn't fighting back? And then, just like Michael Brown's body was left in the street for 4 hours, I don't care if Michael Brown was a criminal or whatever, you don't desecrate a body in the street for all that time. Desecration of a body. He was not human. You then go ahead and you look at the tapes, not just the tape that they show on TV, but the other tapes, and you watch how Eric Garner laid on the ground, not breathing, for quite a long time, with people just doing nothing. They never saw him as a human being. Anonymous, I got to run to Gus now because he called back in.
Okay, but let me say one thing.
Quickly, because I'm running out of time. Quickly, my dear friend.
Okay. But I just want to go back to Florida in the Trayvon Martin case, and to bring up the issue of the young man that was shot by the white guy that just pumped these bullets into it. He done that because he was under a thing of privilege.
Yes,
not because he was afraid of anything that those youngsters was doing to him.
Anonymous. I gotta go. Okay. I gotta leave. But you are correct, sir.
We'll talk again.
We'll talk again. Oh, Gus just hung up again.
Yeah.
Anyhow, thank you for calling. Thank you for calling as usual, Anonymous. And I won't call you Anonymous again, my friend.
Okay.
I love you too much than to call you Anonymous. You don't know how difficult this is to say, sir.
Have a good.
You have a good one, sir. All right, great. Let me bring Terry back in and see maybe Gus will call back so that we can actually get to him. Terry, what do you think so far?
I think it's interesting. I'm singularly disinterested in excusing police behavior.
Right.
It matters not to me whether they came back from Afghanistan or wherever else they came from, to whatever extent they felt they were damaged. Most of them were damaged before they went over there because of the volunteer force. So whatever their excuse is for conducting themselves in the way they do is uninteresting to me. And
I don't think, Terry, maybe, I don't know. I don't think any of us were trying to, I was actually not trying to, what is the word that you used, make excuses. Because I think if what we're trying to say is whether they should even be on the police force.
Well, if it were left up to me, there'd be very few people on the police force. I don't think most of them are qualified.
Right.
But that being said, I don't think that just because you went to Afghanistan or Iraq and you came back with what they now call PTSD, and you get on a police force, that your behavior should be exempted or that should be taken into consideration.
Right.
I don't care about that.
Well, and you should.
Here's my statement.
Yeah.
Here's my statement. I know you're short on time.
Right.
Black people would do very well for themselves if they would remember and understand that in this country that we call America, they are hated.
Right.
They will always be hated, and the fact that cops are allowed to murder us with impunity, it's because the cops are doing what the populace wants them to do.
I got you. Now, I think we're getting out of time, so I got to run to the other call real quick. Terry, thanks. Give me the other call. Hello, sir.
Gus.
Hey, Gus, talk to me real quickly. We got about 2 minutes. Actually, 1 minute and a half minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, I was just saying, I was seeing what y'all saying about the Eric Gardner thing, man. That's just, I'm from Sunnyside, and I'm the same way like a street hustler.
Okay.
But, I mean, the same thing happened to me, but, I mean, you need to know how to work with the Attorney Affairs, you know what I'm saying, talk to them and see what's going on.
Uh-huh. So you think Internal Affairs are going to help you out?
They can get you straightened out if you know how to, if your money right. That's how it works.
Really? What are you trying to tell me, Gus?
Yeah, if your money right, you can get anything done.
And right here in Houston, Gus?
In H-Town.
Okay, well, look, Gus, it seemed to me like that is something you really wanted to get on air, that money buys anything, including the police.
If you got money, you can shake them down.
Well, look, my dear friend, thank you very much. We're getting at the close of the hour, so I got to, my friend who's been with me for a long time, I got to give him 15 seconds for a closer. So, Terry, you got your 15 seconds.
No, as usual, great show. Looking forward to next week. I applaud your activism and your optimism.
Thank you very much, Terry. It's a pleasure having you as well. Folks, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. Do you know that we here intend to make a difference? Please remember to go to the website, kpft.org, and join the fray. And you can find out more about our show at politicsdoneright.com, politicsdoneright.com. Thank you very much and have a wonderful night.
Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.